Fast, powerful, flexible.
Acer Chromebook Spin. Take it for a,
Yeah, we know.
Hi, I'm Sherelle Smith, Editor-in-Chief of Laptop Mag, and I am pleased and delighted to be sitting next to
Daniel Rogers from Intel.
All right, Dan, so basically I want to talk to you about the state of Intel as it is now and Intel as it is in the going into the future. So let's talk about this year because there's been a lot challenges and triumphs and everything else in between.
Been busy.
You have been busy, so let's start because I am currently reviewing the Dell XPS 13 Plus, and this is my first go around with the P series of chips. Can you explain to people a little bit, just make it as simple as possible because I want to talk to my mama, and I want to talk to my nana. I try to keep it accessible about the difference between P and H and U.
Sure. So we have a full lineup this year with 12th Gen Core, and as you mentioned, we use letters to help denote different levels of performance and different form factors and usages. So at the top, we have our H series, which is really targeted towards gamers and creators. I think it's one of the most exciting parts of the portfolio this year, and typically pairs with Discrete Graphics. So that's our H series. And then we have our traditional U series, which is optimized for thin and light laptops, as well as two-in-ones and even detachables and foldables. Lowest power, but great productivity performance. And then this year we're introducing in the middle, kind of a blend of the two, as you mentioned, the P series. Really well done in the Dell XPS Plus, new this year. And that blends the two together, so it delivers an enthusiast level of performance, especially for content creators on the go, but still delivers that in a thin and light form factor.
So how long did that development take? Because I don't know if you've been aware, but we've been in a pandemic for the past 2.5 years, and there have been challenges with that. So how long did it take to get all these out? Because it seemed like to me every time I was like, okay, 12th gen is here. Let me work on this. Then another chip was coming out, and then another chip.
Yeah, we've had hundreds of designs. So we have a huge number of SKUs, hundreds of mobile designs from the biggest, baddest gaming systems and mobile workstations, all the way down to the thinnest, most light and innovative form factors. So we've been really busy. It was a core part of how we architected the product line this year. We wanted to make sure that we addressed the entire market, commercial, consumer, Windows, Chrome, all the different form factors. It's a big part of how we built Alder Lake through the performance hybrid architecture.
So talk to me about the challenges this year, because again, I've mentioned the pandemic. And laptops, while they're available, things like Chromebooks are still on a shortage. And how have you been how's Intel been trying to tackle that problem?
Yeah, it's been a challenge for the industry. There's been really incredible demand for the last several years, despite all of the constraints in the ecosystem. And we actually developed Alder Lake with our partners through some very careful co-engineering that we do throughout this whole COVID scenario. So it's been a big challenge for the program. You'd actually be amazed, but essentially we ran our entire program remotely. We can talk about what that meant for us internally as well as our partners. But yeah, despite all those challenges, I think we were still able to bring a really impressive generation of notebooks to market this year. Some are still launching, and we're still bringing those to market, and then we're going to move to the next generation starting later this year.
That's amazing. But please tell me about the remote work.
Yeah, so as we're located all around the world, a large fraction of our development is happening in Israel, as well as in the United States, and many of our partners, of course, around the world. So it's one of the key challenges. I just started actually getting back on the road visiting customers. It was really awesome. I was down in Texas a couple weeks ago. It was great to be back in the room and see some of the devices that we worked on together remotely and now coming to the market.
So let's talk about the barbarians at your gate, because Intel for a long time, for the majority of my reviewing career, has enjoyed a healthy lead in the industry. And now you have AMD and ARM via Apple really knocking at the gate and bringing some competition. And there were a few moments where Intel seemed to have stumbled, but with 12th gen, you've really refound your step. What is it like having competition for the first time in decades?
Yeah, it's a competitive world. It's an exciting time in the industry, in silicon generally, with a lot of what you hear our CEO talking about, the huge transformations and changes happening in the silicon industry generally. But of course, as you mentioned in the PC too, it's really competitive time. It's great. I sort of love it, and I think we're pretty proud of what we're doing with 12th gen. We've delivered a huge amount of performance. The P series is twice as fast as our 11th gen on gen. Within the same form factor, same power spec. So we're super excited about that architecture.
And we've been talking about processors for a bit now. Can you tell us a little bit about the GPU side as far as Iris Xe, and we're seeing more conversations about Intel really like, hey, you are going to be able to game on this thin and light system, which is, I think, is a dream for most of us. I know that when I'm on the road, well, hopefully when I get back on the road, fingers crossed, knock on wood. Yeah. Being like having a system that can switch from work to play would be optimal. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is a key usage and a part of the value that we're really working on at Intel. This generation, we're super focused on discrete graphics for the first time. So we've entered the discrete market, both in desktop and in notebook. Some of those notebooks have already come. I don't know if you've had a chance to review some of those.
We're touching them.
Okay, so some of those are starting to come to market now, and we have some pretty exciting roadmap for graphics. So we'll continue to focus on both integrated and discrete graphics, and then bringing the two together with some of our deep link technologies, which can take advantage of having both components from Intel in the system.
Awesome. And let's talk about the future, which, like the immediate future, is going to be 13th gen, which is codenamed Meteor Lake. I know you can't tell us all the details, I know, but like give us a little walkthrough of what we can expect from Meteor Lake when it drops.
Sure. So we have Raptor Lake coming later this year,
yes.
Codenamed, and we'll be excited to share more about that with you. But when we built our 12th generation products, we didn't do this as a one-time move in the architecture. It's a huge shift to introduce the combination of performance cores and efficient cores brought together by software with our collaboration with Microsoft and other operating systems. So when we made that huge change, we know that this is opening up a whole opportunity in the future. So you'll see us continue to drive leadership single-threaded performance on the performance cores, building bigger, badder, higher frequency cores there, as well as scaling out the throughput of the machine with the efficient cores to deliver really leadership multi-threaded performance. So we think we're onto something here, that this is a really advantageous architectural approach. And as you mentioned, very shortly here, coming later this year, we'll continue to build that out.
And just to clarify, like Raptor Lake is the next line, but then after will be Meteor Lake, and I'm really like I'm like 2 steps ahead right now because I'm like excited. But like we are talking about Raptor Lake, but I would like to talk about Meteor Lake if we can. Can we talk about Meteor Lake?
Not really, but I can say that we do have some ways that we're considering to extend our value proposition or the benefits of the hybrid architecture beyond just performance. So in Alder Lake, you see the great performance speed up really across the S-curve, all types of different workloads, gaming, content creation, productivity, all much faster. In upcoming architectures, we're looking at some ways to radically increase our efficiency as well for battery life cases. So we have some interesting things that we're considering how to take advantage of this architecture and leverage the software work that we have with our ecosystem partners.
Speaking of battery life, Intel Evo, will we be getting 3.0 of that going? Like, is that program going to continue?
Yeah, absolutely. Evo's a foundational platform for us, and we're really proud of the results that we've been able to achieve with our partners through that program. So we'll continue to move that forward every generation as well.
Because we've been seeing some really positive gains in battery life generation to generation. And I'm curious as to, because I think where everybody is hitting that wall is when we crank the resolution up to 4K and we throw the OLED in there. We're starting to go into mini LED displays. How will Evo handle those problems? Like, because it'd be nice to get a system that has that super high res display that can last maybe 10 hours as opposed to 8 to 7 hours?
Yeah, so battery life is the ultimate system engineering challenge, right? So it's definitely not just the chip, although that's a critical component. It's the designing the entire system, as you mentioned, with the panel, all the software that connects the panel through the T-Con down into the display controller and so forth. So these are huge system challenges. We invest a ton with our partners to build the best systems we possibly can build and tune them for the use cases, as you gaming or content creation, or really just on-the-go casual usage to make sure you get the best battery life possible. The magic is really in that tuning between what happens all the way down, almost at the transistor level in some cases, but then up through the chain into the software as well. I think that's where we have a really unique advantage at Intel. So Evo is a way that we can bring that to life and manifest these wonderful systems for users.
And can you talk about the Evo certification system program a little bit?
I can a little bit. I'm mostly a chip head, but I'll do my best. So yeah, our Evo program, we work with our partners, and we actually verify through rigorous testing that these systems meet the promise of the user experience that we're seeking to deliver. So there's a lot of technical detail that goes behind that, and we have actually hundreds of engineers, 1,000 in some cases, in our customer teams that work with our partners to really finely engineer these products. But in the end, it's a very simple experience for a customer. When you buy an Evo system, you know that there's a certain promise, there's a certain guarantee associated with that has this whole backing. But as a buyer myself, when you want to go for your next system, it's a very simple experience that way that you're getting a certain experience.
Awesome. And you've been talking a little bit about use cases, particularly with creators and gamers. When thinking about those two consumer sets, what is the mindset going in? Because they're definitely two different needs, but they seem like they could coalesce into one chip. But you've managed to make 3 different chipsets to try to hit that market. What was the mindset, and how did you go about it? Like, okay, well, gamers need this, and this, as opposed to creators who need video editing and photo editing, as opposed to engineers who need CAD.
Right. Yeah, the PC is a big space, and it's kind of what makes it exciting, is there's so many different use cases, so many different applications. Certainly, if we wanted to just build a productivity chip or just build a gaming chip, you might have a different design approach or a different architectural approach. But we chose breadth and scalability. So with a common architecture, so the underlying technology is common and shared, but we're able to scale that and then optimize across these different power levels. So as you move up to a system that has more capability, in general, you'd like to add more cores, more I/O, more memory to take advantage of that thermal capability in the system. P-Series does that. For example, in the case of that Dell system that you mentioned, the XPS Plus, it has a pretty robust thermal capability for its form factor, and P-Series delivers additional core count, additional performance to take advantage of what's available in the system.
So just looking into the future, 5 years out, what's Intel's plan besides world domination?
We're working on making super fast chips, so that's my aim always. The demand for compute is really, I like to refer to it as essentially unlimited, unbounded. A part of the reason why we're so passionate about gamers and creators is that these, and as well as professionals, is these people are always pushing the boundaries of what's possible in the form factor. In Alder Lake, we're bringing like what was really tremendous performance in a workstation desktop or something like this from just a few years ago. You're able to now get that in a mobile form factor that's extremely attractive, like compared to what we had just years ago. So we'll keep driving that. Every generation, we're looking to maximize performance to deliver the best user experience possible.
And as a gamer, what is the overclocking? We love it. And I love to see it. But what is the marketplace for that? Because there's H and then there's HX, and if I'm getting a gaming system, I want all the bells and whistles. Give me the kitchen sink. Let me tweak. But is that more of a niche market, or do you find that that's a growing space as more people, now that they were confined for 2.5 years, they're like, oh well, I want a gaming system.
Yeah, it's an incredibly passionate set of people. It's really important to me. In Alder Lake, we have overclocking support both on desktop and mobile. Our HX have a broader set of overclocking support, and in our next generation, which we'll have to come back to talk more about,
You better.
I think you'll be happy with, we have even an increased level of support on the mobile side. Mobile overclocking is a little bit different than on the desktop side.
Absolutely.
In mobile, it's more about actually overclocking the memory, and that faster out-of-box memory speeds can increase your frame rates and your gameplay. So that's maybe the primary case, although we have a robust feature set and similar support as the desktop side.
Okay, so we're almost at the end of our time together, and I asked this of everyone that I interview. Is there something that I should have asked, something that my readers absolutely positively need to know? If nothing else, if they just go to the end of this interview, what do they need to know that I did not ask?
Well, I think I need to know your favorite 12th gen Alder Lake system.
Oh man, let's see.
You can break it down by series too, if you like.
Well, cause when you say it, I'm like, okay. Well,
Hard to pick one.
it is hard to pick one. When it comes to ultralights, the XPS series are always in my top, as well as the HP Spectre series and the Dragonfly Elite. They're slim, they're light, they're gorgeously designed. Gaming systems, gotta give it to Alienware and MSI. Like they give me my big betties full of all the bells and whistles and everything in between. And they give me the power that I'm looking for. I want to be able to play at the highest settings without being throttled, without having to worry about thermal issues. I just want to be able to game, and I want to be able to have a smooth experience. So those are my favorites. For Alienware, I'm going to go with the M17. With MSI, I'm going to go with the MSI GE 76 Raider. Gorgeous system.
I'm very familiar with it.
Gorgeous system, and I can't forget Razer. Razer always makes a beautiful gaming laptop. And the 17, it definitely gives you your bang for your buck. It's a little pricey, yes, but it is gorgeous, and those chroma keys cannot say no. Business-wise, what is business without a Lenovo ThinkPad, particularly the ThinkPad X1 Carbon? We are currently in Gen 9. Definitely check out that system. I will also go with the HP Elite Book. Quiet as it's kept, HP makes beautiful business laptops. Do not sleep on them. Creator-wise, I'm going to go with the MSI Prestige. I will also go to the Acer Swift and the Acer Concept D7 easel. It's like a laptop. You can only do so much with a laptop. And you know it's going to be a rectangle. You know there's going to be a screen, and you know there's going to be a keyboard. But with the easel, like with that pull-out display, is doing something that I think a lot of creatives will appreciate. In terms of innovation, always bet on Asus. Asus has been doing big things with the dual screen laptops. My particular favorites are the Zephyrus line, but do not sleep on the G14 and G15. They've consistently given us really, really long battery life for a gaming system. So don't make me, I can't choose just one. There are so many. And then even though I am not a fan of Chromebooks, I personally do not believe in them. They are fictional devices for me. If I have to choose, I'm actually going to go, Samsung makes beautiful Chromebooks, as does Lenovo. So if you, particularly the Lenovo Chromebook Duet 5. That is a beautiful laptop. It looks like a little book, and that speaks to me, even though it is running on Chrome OS. But to each their own.
I'll round it out maybe on the technology side. So we talked a lot about compute and performance, but one of the less talked about aspects of 12th gen and all the laptops you just mentioned is actually on I/O and connectivity. So it's really a great time to upgrade if you're using a laptop even just from a few years ago. because we now have Wi-Fi 6, almost 6E,
Absolutely.
almost pervasively across all these laptops. Thunderbolt 4, almost again pervasively across all these laptops you mentioned, and the latest memory, DDR5 and LP5. So it's really a full platform from the I/O, the memory, the compute, the graphics. It's all there. It's a great time to buy.
And on top of that, speaking of price point, like Intel makes sure that they're at every price point. So whether it's a $200, $300 Chromebook to a $3,000 gaming system, like you can find Intel there. And and it's refreshing to see even Pentium and Celeron are still getting love for people that maybe they don't need all this power. They just want to watch a movie. Want to browse social media, you're still there, and you're supporting you're meeting consumers at every use case and budget, and that's really appreciated, because not everybody can afford a $3,000 system, not everybody can afford a $500 system, so it's just nice to have that variety.
Yeah, the whole market's important, and that was part of our design goal with Alder. We wanted to be everywhere. So we support all types of memory, all price points, all form factors. It was a big reason of what we were seeking to achieve this year. We're certainly not lacking options.
Absolutely not. And that concludes our interview. Again, I am Cherie L. Smith, Editor-in-Chief of Laptop Mag, and stay tuned for more things Intel, laptops and tablets, VR headsets, headphones, everything in between. If it is mobile, we're there, and we want to see you there.